Hi guys, Mr. Cross here. Hope you're doing fantastically well. This video here today is to talk you through the year 1-2 sex and relationships education in a little bit more detail. We're going to go through some of the lessons that we're going to be teaching, the vocabulary that we'll be using, as well as some of the teaching materials as well. I have just recorded other background information about our SRE curriculum here at Parks. Goes into a bit more depth about the the way that it works, the legislation and the document that it all comes from. But hopefully today this will give you a little bit more rounded information as well. And if you are a parent of year 3, 4 or a year 5, 6 child, those videos will also be coming out, so keep an eye on those and they'll go into a little bit more detail for you, answer any questions you might have. So without further ado, I'm going to just share my screen with you. So in year 1-2, I do apologise if I have repeated myself from a previous video that you may have already watched, but this is the document that we are working from, the compulsory document from 2020 from the Department of Education. And as I've previously mentioned, this is the whole focus of this document is to give fundamental building blocks for characteristics for positive relationships. So one thing I did want to mention again is how this education and this curriculum has all been decided amongst all of the development group schools in the Leicester City area. So here are just a few that I've copied over for you. So what we did in 2020 is we all sat down together and we decided what we would teach and when we would teach it. And it gives you peace of mind as a parent to know that whether my child or brother or sister is in another school or, you know, neighbour or friend or whatever, we are all consistent amongst the Leicester City area. No school does anything different. The only thing different will be the delivery of which teacher it's from. So that gives you a bit of peace of mind. So in terms of year 1-2, these are the first 3 lessons that we teach. The first one being what is a relationship, and we look into different relationships that children might have, friends, family, etc. The second lesson goes into what is a good secret to keep and what secrets should be shared. And, you know, we go into a little bit more detail about discussions about what kind of secrets wouldn't be a safe thing, a good thing to keep. You know, there's a difference between, you know, keeping a secret what a birthday present might be compared to something else that maybe, you know, has to be shared. So again, a very safeguarding kind of lesson, that one, where we are giving the children the building blocks in order to stay safe. The third lesson, we go on to talk about the pants rule, what kind of things would make them feel comfortable and uncomfortable. Your children may have mentioned the pants rule before, so I've just put a little image there just to sort of help you. It's an idea from the NSPCC's charity, which is all about keeping the children safe and keeping their privates private. So they follow this sort of rule. It's something that we teach across all year groups. Again, going from that safeguarding angle so that they've got all the tools they need to know what to do if they feel like something isn't quite right. Then we move on to the sex education part. So as you can see, it has been split up into 2 different year groups because, as I said before, as a development group across all of Leicester City, we decided that what year group needs to know what, just so that we're not overwhelming the children with anything they don't need to know at that age, all the way up to year 6, where also we then had to think about what things would as secondary school, etc. So this is what we've decided. So year 1 will start off by learning about how human and animals change as they grow. And year 2 will also do that, but also identify a little bit more how they've changed over time as well. So just a little bit more detail and more of a revisit of what they've done last year. Year 2 will then go on to talk about how their bodies have changed as they've become a baby. And then year 2 will go on to talk about identifying the different parts of the body that makes girls and boys different. And as you can see there, we do use the technical vocabulary, as you can see on the screen. The reason we do that, we use those key pieces of vocabulary for the safeguarding of our children. So if there was ever an incident of something where a child would like to, you know, speak to a member of staff at the school or yourselves, if they're using the correct technical vocabulary, there is no grey area, and it just keeps everything really clear. It makes nothing then will then be, you know, become unnoticed. So we teach this from a really, really young age so that the children are educated in that area. There isn't any misconceptions to really help. So what I've done here for you in this red box here, you can see the technical vocabulary that we'll be learning. So as I've said, we talked about penis, testicles and vagina being a massive part of keeping the children safe and learning those and fighting the stigma in order to say them. We'll obviously be looking at relationships, comfortable and uncomfortable, secrets, worried, and also the word safeguarding itself, what that means. And then what I've done here for you, I've just added on some of the teaching materials that we'll be using. So we kind of use a lot of clip art images, as you can see from the sort of cartoon images of bodies at the bottom. But also the only sort of images that we use are when they are of animals. So particularly when they're looking at the difference between boys and girls amongst animals, it goes across the whole thing as well. Something that is worth noting is that particularly this lesson here, it cannot be withdrawn from. So due to the safeguarding elements that I've previously talked about, that lesson cannot be withdrawn from. So all children, it's compulsory that all children are part of that lesson indeed. So that is all in terms of sex and relationships education in year 1-2. But all I did want to say is just again, any questions or worries, if this video has been a little bit, you've got a question that's made you think of something, please come and speak to your class teacher. We're more than help, we're available on the playground. Please come and speak to us, and we can really help you with any way that we can, with any sort of issue or questions you might have. Hopefully that gave you a little bit more of an insight of what we do here in year 1-2, and hopefully that'll help. So thank you very much. Take care. Bye-bye.